It's impressive. After 8 years, you've released a new album, finally, and it's a very good album.
Thank you.
What do you think about it now, after the release?
You know, it's kind of a sense of relief, actually, when we got it out. This was the most difficult record for us to do, ever. And really, it's really because of all the problems we had, you know, which we may go over here in a minute, but, you know, the member problems and just the time that it took to record the album was such a frustrating process for us. It was not a fun record to make, although I feel it's probably one of our best records, if not the best. And so for me, personally, it's a sense of relief. I'm just relieved that it's done with. And I'm very satisfied personally. I think all of us are with the record. So relief and satisfaction. I think Robert's kind of on the same.
Yeah, most definitely. I feel it's a good mixture of just about all the material we've done. It's got bits and pieces from the beginning all the way through up Adagio, and I enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, so we're very happy with it. Very, very happy with the records. We finally have achieved, I think, a sound quality on an album that is very close to what we've been hearing in our heads for 20 years, you know, and it's hard to achieve the perfect sound, and I think we've come as close as we've ever come this time, and so very satisfied and very relieved, as I said before, on this one.
Do you think that such a long time helped to prepare a good album?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. I mean, because it's I mean, I think the songs in this record are really good. I think they're great, as good as anything we've done. And the thing is by force, we had time. I mean, whether we wanted to or not, we had a lot of time to work on these songs. And so, as a result, you know, we took a lot of time. I mean, we had the songs written, you know, 5, 6 years ago, and then over the last 4 or 5 years, we've just made little changes to them and added things, dropped things, changed some songs completely. So I think it had something to do with it. You know, I mean, it took. We'd better sound.
It was not the time we wanted, but
yeah, exactly. We didn't want
what
it.
happened.
But we better have sounded good after that long, or else there'd have been something wrong with us.
Yeah.
There's no excuses with that much time on your hands. You're either going to put out something kick-ass, or you're not. So luckily, we put out something we feel is kick-ass. So there you go.
What are the reactions of the fans for this album?
It's, as far as we can tell, the only thing we're getting feedback on is basically the overseas media. Mm-hmm. I mean, because it hasn't hit the States yet.
It comes
out
next month in the States, so we've only been seeing, like Robert said, you know, European reviews for it,
which are coming across quite well.
Yeah,
which is very pleasing.
The reaction. I mean, here's the deal, man. I knew it was a kick-ass record. I knew that if you liked the heavy doom metal and if you like Solitude, there's no excuse for you not to like this record. There really isn't. I mean, if you're a fan of what we do, you're going to like this record, I think. I mean, I hope, you know. And
I think we changed it up enough and kept our own personal style without going overboard to make it sound different, to where I feel that it gave the people, and myself also, what I thought it should sound like without too much of a variance, just for the sake of variance.
Right, and you know, and to keep ourselves, you know, slightly humble about the whole thing. I didn't expect it to be as well received as it was. I mean, I thought most people would like it because I knew it was a good record, but the response, man, we've gotten, at least from all the magazines I've seen, which is a lot, and most of the fans, has just been really overwhelmingly positive, and that for us is the reward. I'm happy. I mean, we would do it no matter if people loved it or hated it. In fact, if they hated it, it'd probably make me do it more, because people's hate of what I do drives me. But if they love it, hey, that feels good, and it's good to know that. And so far, man, I'm so happy with the response we've gotten, and so it's amazing to me. Everyone has just went over the top enthusiastic about it. There's been a few people that said they don't care for it too much, but that's usually from people who don't really like the style anyway. And but it's been very few. I've been surprised at how many people have just jumped on this album and said it's totally kick-ass, totally great. So very happy about that, man, very.
You said you were very confident about this album.
Have to be.
Was it that because of that you decided to call it Alone, which is rather a significant word for Solitude, Aeturnus?
Had nothing to do with the title. That's all Robert's department. Robert had we had all the songs written, and Robert is good. Robert writes the lyrics, and he's been really good at coming up with album titles and concepts for cover art and stuff. And this one, no exception. I think Alone, for me at least, I'll let Robert answer this, but for me, it kind of summed up the feeling of the music and the lyrics. And then with Robert's concept of the album cover, I'm pretty blown away by that too, man. It fits. But
I was a little apathetic for using the title Alone. It's very cliche, but yet not. All the lyrics on this come from a very, very personal experience in my life from the time, during actually the hiatus that we took, which kept myself apart from the rest of the guys.
That was a year. His problem was a year.
Yeah.
The other problems we had were other years.
But during that time, I was able to focus my energies and put them into the lyrics. All the lyrics are, there's nothing on there that didn't happen to me or came from me. So, in essence, for those last couple of years, that's the way I felt, alone, period, in the conversation. So there was no other title.
Fitting title for the music and the lyrics we were doing. I felt it was a very...
Yeah, I wouldn't have called it cheese or anything, but I mean, I thought Alone was fitting. Yeah.
Sociable, hanging out.
And, the album, the artwork, the concept, yet again, could be construed as cliche. I think it fits. I think it portrays an emotion when you pick it up and look at it. But you know what you're getting. You're not buying a package that looks pretty. When you open it up, the inside also correlates with what you're getting on the outside. It's a complete package.
It's not a real happy record. I mean, we're not depressed people all the time, okay? I mean, we don't go around moping our heads and feeling sorry for ourselves or hating life all the time, but we do sometimes. And that's what comes across with our music. I mean, it's a facet or an aspect of our personalities that we channel through our music and lyrics. So, was that the question?
I think.
What was the question? We're just rambling now.
So why the hangman on the cover? Does it mean anything special?
I think the visual representation, I got to say something about that. When I saw the artwork for it, first of all, it's a brown color kind of, or a sepia tone, kind of burnt orange, dusk color. When I saw it, it was more gray, and it looked even more grim. And I honestly thought, oh my God,
what
man,
is he doing?
This album cover is it's too grim. I mean, it looked really depressing, very stark, very a graven just image. It was just, ugh.
I initially went with the tones of Adagio. That was my starting point. So
right.
That's what he's getting.
Yeah.
The gray hues.
Robert had imagined this picture that we came up with, and he imagined it in gray tones. And that's a technical issue because we eventually decided that it looked a little too similar to Adagio with the color of the album cover, and we decided, well, we need to change that. And when we did, I think it looked a little different. But I showed it to a lot of people, and everybody had a strong, strong reaction to it. Anybody I showed that picture to just went, "Oh man, what the fuck? Holy shit! Don't use that, man. That's too fucking crazy." And it's not crazy by some death metal band standards, I suppose, or whatnot. But the image that it
I think it's the imagery more so than just in your face.
Exactly.
And it does. Like I said, it goes hand in hand with the word alone. The guy's here. We don't know if he's dead. We don't know if he's contemplating suicide. We don't know if he's been there for months. Right. But then you've got the apparitions in the background that are. When you're alone, there can be 1 million people around you, but it don't make a shit.
Yeah. And so I thought it was such a strong cover that I eventually came around to thinking, you know what? If I don't like this that much because it's such a strong visual, then that means it's great. So, I mean, let's use it. And we did. I'm so glad we did. I think it's my favorite cover.
Yeah, I do
really do. I mean, I think it really gets the point across, man. And I think album art is a lost art, I think it's important. To me, it is. All these young punk kids today don't know anything about
the hell's
they
on
don't
the
care
cover
about
anyway.
album covers and stuff. Maybe they do here, but they don't in America. They just care about downloading it, getting it. Album art to me is still very important, personally, just for me. I could care less about anybody else. So I love the package that we have with this. I think it's perfect. Sums up the album, and it definitely left an impression on me. And I think it just sums up the package and makes it a complete experience.
Driving me insane.
you know, in a way, this Hankman on the cover of Alone reminded me about the band I once heard of, Rotten Corpse.
Holy crapola, we're going to dig that far back? That was 50 pounds ago, man. Yeah, Rotting Corpse. Wow, crazy. That was my thrash metal band I did in the early 80s, or 84 to 86. So, yeah, you know, hey.
Thrash metal, so why did you change the style? What was the reason?
Because I was a poser with thrash. I was posing, pretending to be into it, and I decided it wasn't cool anymore. But man, I've always been into the kind of style of music we play. I'm joking, by the way, before that. I've always been into the more Sabbathy, Black Sabbath-oriented style, classic metal style. I grew up listening to Uriah Heep, Judas Priest, Scorpions, and all that stuff. And so, you know, the thrash metal thing happened for me personally when I was 17, 18, 19, 20. And I love thrash and death metal to this day. But back then when I started a band, those are the guys that I found a jam with. And so we formed a thrash metal band, and we destroyed Texas for a few years. And then I decided that, you know, I needed to form a band that had more of a lasting impact within the metal music scene, because I wanted to create music that I felt was would stand the test of time better. You know, Rotting Corpse, a lot of fun, crazy times, but you know, it was just insane, crazy thrash, and that's what it was. It's not music that you can sit down and listen to 40 years from now and go, wow, that's some great music, man. So when I started Solitude, that was my goal, was to create timeless metal music that's not afraid to incorporate melody, not afraid to incorporate thrash, not afraid to incorporate doom, power metal, whatever the fuck we want to throw in there, man. Whatever makes a good, heavy, doomy metal song. And so I started Solitude, and you know, the first year I had a completely different lineup, and then fortunately for me, I found the rest of the guys that formed the band, and that was what really became Solitude Aeturnus. I mean, it became a different animal with Robert and the other guys that came along after that, and me personally was able to fully realize my goals because I had assembled a group of musicians around me that not only supported what I wanted to do, but had tons of valuable input on their own that made it a kick. I hate to say kick ass all the time. Kick ass, man! We're from Texas. Woo! Kick fucking ass! No, but I was fortunate to find these guys, and since then we've created what I consider to be, you know, great metal music, man. At least for me. I mean, I'd buy our records, you know, if I had the money.
Yeah.
Luckily, I get 1 or 2 free promos from Massacre, but then I usually give those out and then buy my own.
I don't ever have any.
Anyway, so that's the Rotting Corpse thing, man. Rotting Corpse was fun, thrash metal was fun, and I don't have anything against thrash metal. I just decided that
ain't your thing.
Yeah, it's not my thing for real. If I was going to continue as a musician and put some real effort into it in time, it needed to be classic metal for me, and that's what we play, classic metal, man.
Then there was a time for your first demo tape. It was called Justice for All.
Mm-hmm.
Curious title.
Yes, why?
Yeah, because as I remember it well, it was released before the famous title.
Let's see, was that
I can't imagine
Slayer?
who that was. Was it Captain
Exodus.
Neil?
Captain Beyond.
Captain Beyond.
Captain
Well, I get
Beyond.
those two confused.
Or was it, oh no, it's that Metallica band. Metallica?
Yeah, there was something.
Metallica.
Metallica.
Did they? Thing is they stole that from me. That's the thing. And I'm working on a lawsuit right now for that demo tape. They stole the idea from me, and they're gonna fucking pay.
I think the resources from the sales of these albums are going to budget for that, right?
Yeah, let me explain that just real quick, man. Justice for All, that was actually a title that the first singer for Solitude had. And honestly, we had come up with that title about, 10 months before the Metallica album came out. We put that demo out in January of '88. Metallica comes out in June of '88 and calls their album And Justice for All. So we got asked that question so much. Did you know Metallica called it that? I was like, oh, gosh, yeah, I know, man. Our singer at the time, Chris Gabehart, came up with that title. His lyrics were very much based on the book of Revelation out of the Bible. Our first set of lyrics were very much in the vein of early Trouble lyrics. And, you know, his idea was, hey, at the end, there's going to be justice for all. Mm-hmm. You will burn in the lake of fire, sinners. So that was what the idea was on that. So, but, you know, just so happened Metallica came out and did that, and so we got caught with that question. Did you know that? Yeah. So.
Then you decided to make a deal with Roadrunner Records. Why did you decide to do that, and why did you decide to leave them?
Basically, you know, in the demo days when bands did demos and not CDs right off the bat, but we put out a demo, and of course we put out a second demo, and then we started shopping it around. We got a deal with a label called King Classic Records, which is a tiny independent label, guys that I had known from the Rotting Corpse days that ran that label. We signed a deal with them. We recorded the debut. About a year later, they still had not released the record, and the end result was the album was shopped around by them, and they found a deal with Roadrunner. Roadrunner liked the record a lot, so they gave us a deal. So we signed to Roadrunner. It was as simple as that. I mean, even back then, Roadrunner was one of the biggest metal labels, and they were a little more credible back then with their metal status, you know. So it was a great thing to get signed to Roadrunner at that time, and we felt really good about that. So we did that album, the first one, Into the Depths of Sorrow, and then we did Crimson Horizon for them. Why we left Roadrunner? We left Roadrunner because they dropped us, and we couldn't have been more happier. It was
well, the genre was changing, and we just didn't fit what Roadrunner was doing at the time, and they're still in that vein.
Yeah.
So that's where they were headed.
Well, they're obviously laughing at us on their way to the bank when they make their deposits, but fuck them anyway. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, they, yeah, we weren't what they really wanted, and they dropped us because of that, and we were actually.
It was a good thing.
It was ironic because we were actually talking about how, I remember having band meetings, and we were talking about how can we get off Roadrunner, because they were giving us, I mean, you know, you hear bands all the time say, we got no support from the label, zero support, and that's why it failed. Well, it's true sometimes. This is true. Roadrunner did not give us any support. We hooked up a tour with Paul Di'Anno's Killers back in '92. We basically did that and financed it ourselves. They didn't give us a dime of support for that. And that told me, if they're not willing to give us, I mean, even $1 to support us on a 6-7 week tour of America.
It was an 8-week tour.
8-week tour of America, and we're touring with Paul Di'Anno. I mean, we don't need $50,000. Just give us a couple $1,000s to pay for the gas or something. They wouldn't even do that. So we thought, we need to get off this label. And it wasn't until I spoke to my friend Lee Dorian, hi Lee, that I always remember this because it was so funny to me. I was speaking to Lee on the phone. He's like, he just goes, hey John, so sorry to hear that about the Roadrunner situation, you've been dropped. And I was like, what? He goes, oh, you didn't hear? So like, I know now. He's like, yeah, I didn't mean to tell you before. So Lee Dorian informed me that we were dropped. He had heard through the grapevine in England somehow that we, through the offices of Roadrunner over there, that we were dropped. So we found out we were dropped, and we're like, great, good.
Let's get up here.
Let's move on.
You changed the label for Pavement Records. Why that one?
It was just the first label, really.
Because they picked us up.
Yeah, the first label said, yeah, we'll put out your shit.
And they did good for us in the early day. Through the Darkest Hour, we did get a lot of support through advertising, through pushing the sales of the album.
Yeah, we had. I have very little complaints about Pavement. The thing about that was these guys were based in America, and we realized a while back that you know, if we're going to continue as a band at any kind of level other than underground garage, only playing in your own area, Dallas, Fort Worth, we needed to get hooked up with a label that had a lot of support in Europe. Unfortunately, Pavement didn't have that, and so our idea was, let's sign directly to a label that's based in Europe. so that we can get support to come over here, do some tours, and just try to do as best we can over here, because America, there's not really a market for
There's still not a market for what we do in America.
Never has been, man.
Never.
And so, we just asked Pavement if they would let us go, and they were cool. They were cool enough. They said, man, I understand. Okay. So, I mean, they were cool enough to let us go. We were under a contract with them, and I respect that about them. I told him the truth, and he said, I understand. So that's why we decided to leave Pavement, or we mutually decided to leave, Pavement, and then we signed to Massacre after that, so.
You released Through the Darkest Hour. What do you remember about recording this one?
It was the first time we ever left the States to record. Mm-hmm. And, they were good to us on that, too. I mean, we shot off to England, held up in some little shack for 3 weeks and recorded the album. I mean, it couldn't have been more rock and roll. We were drunk every night. We were waking up, re-recording the stuff we messed up the day before, going back out and drinking, fixing it, and making it better.
I'm a realist, man. That was the best time of the band. We'll never have a good time like that ever again.
Yeah.
That was the peak of our career. No, I mean, it was definitely a peak time for us as a band. I mean,
during that time, too, we played a lot. We actually had a pretty big following. We also did a couple of road dates with, was it King or the Fate thing?
Well, that came out right after that.
Right after that, yeah. So that the whole year of 95, 96.
Through the Darkest Hour, for me, is a really special record. I don't think I can record as many more records as I want. I don't think I'm ever going to say that I like anything better than Darkest Hour. That's my favorite record. I mean, I think the new one is our best one, and I think the songs on this new one are as good as anything on Through the Darkest Hour. But Through the Darkest Hour is my favorite, not only because of the music on it, which is just so intensely great, but it's because of the experience that we had recording that album and touring for that record. Dude, I mean, come on, man. We're five metalhead dudes from Texas that somehow or other finagled our way to get enough money out of Pavement, and we made a really tight budget to where we could get overseas and record. And speaking about Cathedral again, it was because of their Soul Sacrifice EP that I heard, and I thought, man, that is just a brilliantly raw, heavy sound on that thing. I thought, let's go there. This was before Pro Tools days,
Yeah.
This was back when people, you still had to consider, recording the old school way, and so it's a different ball game, these days. You can almost record it anywhere and get the same sound with Pro Tools and a basic knowledge of recording. Anyway, sidetracking. So I'm just trying to make a point of the fact that for us to travel to England to record an album, that finally meant that we were rock stars. Rock stars without the pay or the fame.
Exactly.
But
nonetheless, we're in a studio a billion miles away from home.
What can we say?
Drinking and doing music.
We felt lucky, man. I mean, we were in England. I'm familiar with England. I've been there several times. My mother's from Scotland, so I was really just happy to be back there. Recorded the album in England. Perfect recording situation. Made some great friends. Drank a lot of ale at the pubs.
Right.
And spent a lot of time on the record. And
we had 14-hour days up there.
Yeah, very happy with that record because it was literally, it was like what real musicians do. You wake up in the morning, get up at 10 o'clock, get something to eat, go to the studio, work for 8 to 10, 12 hours, go to the pub, listen to what you did that day, criticize it, come back and work on it and do it again. And so that was a very productive, and that was a breakthrough time for the band. I love our first two albums. I think they're classic, but I really believe that our sound that we really have now came through and broke through on Through the Darkest Hour. Our songwriting level increased, the intensity level increased, the heaviness level increased, and the production level finally got to where it was a lot more thicker, like molasses syrup. It was a thick mixture of doom and heady arrangements, and Robert made breakthroughs with his vocal abilities and a little more raw style.
Oh, I think I came into my own in the first two albums.
First two albums, he was trying to sing as high as he could to outdo Eric Adams from
yeah.
And he did that on occasion, I think. But I could go on and on. I don't want to be redundant about it, but let's just say that Through the Darkest Hour just holds a lot.
There was a lot of
memories.
changes.
A lot of great memories for us on that record, and still love that record to this day, man. Love it.
In opposite to what you are talking about Through the Darkest Hour, you weren't very satisfied with Downfall.
Adagio was a great record.
I loved Adagio.
Adagio was awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes, it was very good.
Adagio, we also recorded in England.
Yes, we did. We went back to the same place.
Yeah, and Downfall.
Yes, Downfall.
Oh, we had one after Through the Darkest Hour?
Yeah, it was called Downfall.
Downfall.
By the way.
Oh, that's the one that's good. Was it the green or the red one? Or was it the tomato?
If you're living in Europe, it was the tomato squash
That's
cover
right.
with redness on it. If you're living in America, it was
a green
cover.
face.
Man, that album was a tough one, man. I personally love the music on that. I think it's our most adventurous.
No, I totally.
record.
I love the material.
It's a sick and twisted record, and we were trying to not be as doom on that one. Overall, I mean, we were trying to create more of a different feeling on this record, a different vibe.
Let's just say we experimented a lot.
We wanted to just do something that was fucked up, you know, and not only fucked up, but some of the songs on that album are more traditional Solitude type songs, and we wanted to do the best of both worlds. We wanted to have some stuff that was just wrong for us, you know, challenge the idea of true metal or challenge the idea of being a doom band. It's like, man, fuck all that. We're here to make kick-ass music. Kick-ass.
Yeah, once again, kick ass.
But, you know, we just made some mistakes on that record in terms of the production.
So yeah, that's where it gets my goat.
Because I think the songs were just great.
I enjoy it. I have a hard time listening to it. I know a lot of people say the same thing. I would love to go back someday, Massacre, and remaster the thing from top to bottom.
Would you say Someday Massacre?
Someday.
Someday Massacre, we'd like to go back and
we
do
would
that.
like to go back.
Someday Massacre, we'd like to go back and
Yeah.
re-record that record. Yeah, it's a great record. It's just marred by a stupendously horrible production. And but some of my favorite songs are on that record.
That's some good stuff on there.
Midnight Dreams, Phantoms, which we were playing our set, is always
Concern.
a staple. Concern, which is one of Robert's first complete songs that he wrote. Robert always contributes, but that was a complete song that he wrote on his own. And
Elysium.
great record, just terrible production, man. We made some bad choices on the studio, bad choices on the engineer. It was a time of change for the band. Lyle was leading the band
As it was recording.
while we were recording. He was basically telling us this is it. So his attitude was very negative at the time. And I understand. And Lyle's a great friend still to this day to me, but he just was not into it.
Well, and at that time, just because of our schedules, we didn't ever even get in there as a whole band.
Right.
I don't think there was one time we were together in there.
We had to record it, you know, a little bit here,
He'd come
a
in,
little bit there.
I'd come in, he'd come in.
Lyle wasn't happy, which in turn made me not happy because, you know, Lyle's a great guy and a good friend, and I didn't like to see him unhappy, so it made me unhappy, blah, 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 blah. Poor us.
And it does make a difference to record as a band, to be there as members, whether you're just sitting in the control room or not.
It also taught me a lesson about the attitude that you have to have when you go into a studio. You have to be 100%. You can't be just going, all right, let's just get this done with. All right, come on. You know, even though I said Alone is a frustrating album to record and not fun to record, not once did I flinch on being positive about it and getting in there and taking control and just getting the shit done. You know, just doing it.
No, there was zero negativity. There was
Zero.
you know, like we were saying, we were all there, whether we were doing something or not. We were
It
there.
may have been laborious and time-consuming and tedious for us, but it was by no means were we negative about it. On Downfall, we had kind of a negative vibe going on throughout the whole process, and it affected. That's just part of what affected the process. I mean, the other part was we had an engineer that didn't know what the hell he was fucking doing, and then it was mastered horribly. I think most likely what's going to happen is we're going to end up remastering that record along with Darkest Hour, and they're going to sound probably twice the record, like we did for Metal
Well,
Mind.
yeah, for the first two.
You know, I think the Metal Mind reissues that came out sound. I hate to say
They're a lot
it,
thicker.
They sound better than the originals. They sound thicker. They sound more like they're supposed to. And with some kind of luck and maybe small budget, we can go in there and remaster these albums, Downfall and Darkest Hour.
So can Adagio be called Return on the Right Course?
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Great album.
That little dip, and then boom, right back up here to the Adagio. Go back overseas, beers, wine, no women.
We recorded that album also at Rhythm Studios, and I've seen some, I do some research on the internet, and I see what some of the fans may say about Adagio, and some of and even people to my face. I mean, just tell me that they don't enjoy that album as much as what we've done before. And
Bitch.
fuck you. That's puzzling to me because I think that was our best overall record up to that point because we had a production value that I think was far greater than anything we'd done before. We had a real good variety of songwriting styles in this record. Keep in mind, we're never concerned about trying to fit into the norm of what's going on. I mean, and not just trying to be Mr. Johnny Rebel, just trying to be, oh, fuck y'all, we're going to do what we want just because that's what we want to do. No, man, we have a real passion for what we do. And so when we record songs like...
Well, we record what we want to hear.
Yeah, when we do songs like Personal God or something like what Robert wrote for Adagio, or we do a song like Mental Pictures, or we do something like The Fall, which was the song that I sang, my Pete Steele imitation or whatever. I mean, we do it because this is what we want to hear. And, we don't make a lot of money. In fact, we don't make any money from this. So there's no other reason for us to do this other than the fact that we love to do this. If other people like it, that's the bonus. And we've been blessed to have that bonus since day one. And it's what's really kept us going a lot of the time is the good feedback we get from people. Adagio, for some reason, a lot of people told me it just didn't do much for them. Nobody said they hated it, they just said it didn't do much for them. And that's not everybody, it was just a few people. But that's puzzling to me because I thought that it was probably our most well-rounded effort up to that point. So I don't know, it's another great record, I think. I don't know. I like the record a lot, man. It's got some excellent songs. Maybe it's a little too long for my personal taste, but we couldn't figure out what songs to drop because we liked them so much. So, and of course, that's got the Heaven and Hell song that Massacre wanted to put it on there, and that went over well with a lot of people. So, but there you go. I mean, that was an album that we all enjoyed.
It's a personal favorite of mine. Always has been.
Yeah, Robert loves this record.
I can put that bitch on and listen to it from the start to finish.
Past is past, present seemed to be good for you. So what about the future? I hope we wouldn't have to wait another 8 years.
It'll only be about 7 this time.
7, we're shooting
Yeah,
for
promise.
6 to 7.
Promise. 6
7
to
and a
7
half
tops.
max.
So in another 7 years, I'll be a little more grayer, but
Nonetheless.
now the present is the present, man. I mean, we're doing this interview with you guys in Poland. I mean, how lucky are we? We're in a position where we can go tour the world, play the world, whatever. We've got a great new album out. I mean, some things don't change, and our passion and love for the kind of music we do just hasn't changed from day one, man. We don't do this because we have to or because we feel like it's something we need to do because the fans like it or people expect it out of us. Just do this because we're possessed by it, man, and we don't have a choice. There's plenty of times when I don't feel like fucking doing this shit. I mean, there was a lot of times over the last couple of years where I was just like, man, I don't feel like doing this shit anymore. Fuck it.
Well, you lose your vibe, you lose your groove when you get into such a hiatus, and that is what became the issue.
Yeah.
But that's not the issue anymore. This is
Exactly.
done. Things are pumping. We're rolling. We're getting good reviews. Like I said, we're in Poland, for God's sake.
It's not fuck it like, this stuff sucks or we're stale or it's just over. It's more like, after doing it for 15 to 20 years this year that we've been doing this, and I'm not complaining, but we've never made any freaking money from this. We don't make a living from this. It doesn't cost us anything, obviously, to come over here and do this, but, it gets frustrating sometimes when you keep going and going and you have to just jump over all these obstacles continuously. It's not easy doing what we do, But like I said, we're possessed by it. It's in our blood, man, and we truly love what we do, and we only do it.
That's what drives us.
It is what drives us. We only do it for one reason, because we like to go home and listen to it.
I think if we told people half of what we've been through in the last 24 hours, they'd be like, what the hell are you doing that for?
Yeah, I mean, we love what we do. I mean, there's other bands that I like more than Solitude Aeturnus, but Solitude Aeturnus is one of my favorite bands, man. So, I mean, we're doing this we're great! We're the greatest! No, I always joke around and tell people that I'm the biggest Solitude Aeturnus fan, but it's freaking true, man. I'm the biggest fan of Solitude Aeturnus. And the thing is, if you don't think that way and you're trying to get people to pay money for your music, then what the fuck? I think we're putting out some of the most
product.
I think we're putting out some of the greatest metal music there is right now. I'm not saying that we are the greatest band. I'm just saying that I'd go to the store and buy our shit. I'd do it in a heartbeat. If I walked into the store and they were playing something from Solitude on the stereo, I'd ask the guy, what the hell is this? I need it.
I would too. I would actually buy ourselves. And if I knew a song, I would actually walk up to the singer and just give him money. just give him money.
I would do that too.
I would.
No, seriously, man, we really do. We really have to feel this way. It's like a team. It's like a battle, man. I mean, we're fucking soldiers of metal. I mean, for 25, 30 years now, I've been a soldier of metal. Robert's been a soldier of metal. That sounds cheesy, but goddamn it, it's the truth. Steve Mosley's a soldier of metal.
He's a soldier
so is
from
Steve
hell.
Nichols and James Martin, man. All these guys do it. None of these guys get paid to do what they do. They do it because they love it, and we love doing what we do. And 20 years later, we're only doing this because we love to do it, and we're able to. We're afforded to be in this position that we're in, where we can share our music with people like you guys, and hopefully everybody likes it and has a good time.